find it interesting that we have Santa Claus from Dow Brewing Company in Canada. And tell us about Santa in Canada.
We could never find one except in Canada because remember Coca-Cola used that big Santa Claus. And we believe that that's the reason that none of our breweries ever used it. So we wanted a Santa, and we belonged to the Canadian collector clubs and went to conventions there, and so we had to buy a Canadian Santa Claus, because Christmas is not Christmas without Santa Claus. We have a picture you're going to see in another place with the Philip Best sign in the corner, and Mr. Pabst was a captain on the riverboat that went up and down the river, and he met up with Miss Best, and he married her, and then soon he became president of Pabst. And that's why on the Pabst Blue Ribbon, you will always see the B. See the little B in there?
Yes.
That stands for Best. That was the original brewery until Mr. Pabst took over, and then it became the Pabst Brewery. And her Schlitz with the Atlas.
Yes, that is just...
That's a beauty.
And you can sure tell from the old lithography just the depth of color and the richness and how beautiful that is, the old advertising, even the bottle with the colored label and
all the pictures of the people around the world. So they said they all drink it, so they put all of them on there.
Oh, sure, yes.
And of course these Bock statues, you know, that was quite a thing to obtain all three of them. It took quite a while to get all three, and Herb would drive up in the UP, and we did. I think this was the last one we got of the set. But to complete the set, it was, and to have them in good shape. I see the horn has been broken now.
Well, those are so fragile with the little things that stick off them and how they can be.
No, but it was always great, and we loved that one where the hunter was looking where the duck was. See where the duck's on his partner's. Should I shoot it or not?
And now we move into, Helen, the Prohibition era of brewing, when breweries stayed in business they had big facilities, so everything from ice to candy to malt, near beer. And tell us about some of the items that...
The top, this one here from the Huddersfield Brewing Company says something to blow about, and they're blowing their instruments. And if you look at the calendar, it is April 7th, 1933, the day Prohibition went off. We had the big Budweiser, we have a smaller one up over there, and everybody loves the Budweiser horses. And I understand they're coming back again too. And I heard that they realized that was their best advertisement. And we were fortunate to be able to visit some of their farms.
We're going to talk about ladies in brewery advertising. And we have one here. I believe the illustrator was Varga of Acme Brewing Company in Los Angeles, and we need to know a little bit more about her.
I knew she was different, she was rare, and of course we almost walked by her because she wasn't standing out like these or the beautiful ones upstairs, but somebody said, oh no, she's very rare.
And this is very subtle and understated because most brewing advertisements have their logo prominently plopped on there, but this is almost like an piece of art that you could put in the living room.
It is, yes. And this one was, of course, fishing, you know, and with the type of outfit she had on, all dressed up out fishing, which was very unusual. So she and subtle, but you wouldn't look at her unless you went up to her and really studied that she was a brewery advertising, and it's very small on it, so you can.
Oh, sure.
Yep, that you can hardly see it.
Yes.
You would pass it up.
Grass Valley, California.
Right.
Wow.
Yep. That was the California ones. And the men, of course, love to buy with the women's pictures on.
Yes.
It appealed to the men, you know, and they didn't have the TV ads back then, and with the beautiful women, so they went to get a beer and they saw beautiful women. And there you can see Schlitz loading their boxcars with that can during the war. They would send boxcars to be delivered to the different camps and go overseas. Yeah, and they all loaded it up in Milwaukee, and off it went.
And nothing like beer to remind the soldiers of their home and enjoying it, and that was quite a generous thing to provide to the troops.
Soldiers didn't like to fight without their beer. And of course, this was interesting. It was a yearly, the monthly calendar, and they featured a food for each month, you know, from that brewery.
And how about the hard-boiled eggs?
Oh, yes. You know, that started in Pennsylvania. They'd had a lot of egg farmers. And one year, I read that they had an overproduction of eggs. They could not sell them. So the brewery started advertising for them and telling to buy their eggs. Beer and eggs go together. And they would serve the hard-boiled ones in the bars too, so they could consume some of the eggs, that there was such a surplus. And this one with the Bavarian too, that was a rare one to get, so they didn't do that much advertising of that type, you know, of having a picnic.
Yes. And the muted colors and the pastels on that are just
It looks
gorgeous.
like a watercolor, doesn't it?
Yeah, again, like the Acme lady, almost
Right.
artwork,
Right.
fine art.
Yeah, and like you said, that is very different with the die cut. Like that stands 3D. Bock was a favorite. That was Herb's favorite beer, was Bock beer. And he really enjoyed that. And of course, I love the goats, because when I was little, I had a team of goats, a pair of goats. And they pulled me in the wagon and all those things. But goats was Bock, and that was his. And this lacrosse piece, you see the brewery in the background with the big goat in front, which is very unusual, not just to have the goat and the whole piece.
Well, Helen, we'd sure like to thank you to get your input in all these memories of these items before they move on to their next home is really something special.
We're happy to have it going to its next home.